We're just going to make sure.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel Everyday Carry for Everyday Guys. So today we're going to be talking about weapon mounted lights. I don't think I've ever really done a full video explaining what I think the values and the advantages of carrying a weapon mounted light. We are going to be looking at a couple of different lights. Olight Balder Pro R, which I've done a full review on. PowerTac Mark Mini, Streamlight TLR7A, and the Olight Balder S. Those are some of the lights that's going to be mentioned in this video, as well as, of course, my Surefire X300. Now, I have done reviews on pretty much all those lights, and they will pop up in your screen at some point or at the end of the video, whatever the case may be. So I've got a fairly intimate knowledge of all these lights. I've trained with them, I've done courses with them. And another reason I chose those lights are because they are the most readily available here in South Africa. Okay, we don't really get Streamlight. There's the Streamlight TLR1 lights. We don't get Enforce. So Olight, PowerTac, Surefire, and certain Streamlight models are pretty much the only ones we have access to. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about with regards to, or the first point is, guys, weapon lights are carryable these days, right? Modern holsters, Southwest holsters at least, they are designed where the holster moves with your body, and it keeps the firearm in a easily drawable configuration, even though it moves with your body. So you can comfortably, or at least I can comfortably EDC a weapon light. There isn't really much excuse for not doing it anymore. If we take a standard appendix inside the waistband holster, right? This is just for the base firearm. And we take a holster for something like the Streamlight TLR7A, Olight Balder Mini S, or the PowerTac Mark Mini, the size differential isn't that much. Okay, it's not that much bigger. It's almost negligibly bigger. Now, with regards to shall I say, costing and availability, obviously the most expensive is going to be the Surefire X300 here in South Africa from SA Tactical Institute. This guy is going to run you about $6,400, and then the Olight Balder Pro R. Is it the Pro R? Yeah, that's what it's called. They got so much weird names. Balder Pro R in South Africa at the Olight store. It's going to cost you 4,299 Rand. The Streamlight TLR7A SA Tactical Institute is going to cost you 4,400 Rand. And then the least expensive, the PowerTac Mark Mini, is going to cost you 2,200 Rand. This has the most candela. It's like a 500 lumen flashlight, but a 22,000 candela flashlight or weapon light. And this, I have run a course with this on a Glock 23, so it can handle recoil. I actually quite really like this light. And then from Olight, the Balder Mini S, which is 3,499 Rand. On the high side, 6,500 bucks. On the low side, 2,200 bucks, and everything in between. Now, guys, something I've added to the channel is that I will not review a light if I can't find a suitable appendix inside the waistband holster for it, unless that light is dedicated for an outside the waistband, shall we call it a duty setup. But most compact weapon mounted lights are meant to be carried concealed. So if I can't find a good holster for it, it's not going on the channel. Now, guys, with most crimes happening in the early evening or evening hours, having light on your firearm is really important. Light first and foremostly offers you control, right? You can very often control your potential attacker or assailant by removing his visual horizon. Think about it this way. If you're running at something or away from something and you are immediately blinded, what happens? You generally stop moving. Okay, our eyes are the most powerful of our senses and the most used of our senses. So when someone takes that away, the others go into like holy shit mode, right? Having a weapon mounted light means you can do that, but you can do it with both hands on your firearm. That's very important. Now, there are certain things like a switchback that allow you a degree of control if you want to, but it's still not a full master grip on the firearm, which is really, really important for me. I'm not a big fan of one-handed shooting. So if you don't have a weapon light, you are pretty much going to have to do the one-handed shooting thing, right? Whichever you prefer, I don't really care. I don't like any of them because one-handed shooting is more difficult. It requires, in my opinion, more fine motor skills. You're now pressing two buttons that you've got to do independently of each other, and the brain fuzz of a high-stress situation. So for me, having a weapon-mounted light is mandatory. I would say for everyone it's highly recommended. For me it's mandatory. A handheld flashlight is mandatory. There are things I can do with this light I can't do with this light, right? But everything I can do with this light I can also do with this light, but it's more difficult. So the removal of visual horizon, the ability to acquire information comes next. Equally important, if not even more important, if it is dark. And it's not only dark at night, guys. If you're crossing between two thresholds that's corridored, it can often be dark in that environment. If someone has, let's just say you're chasing someone, maybe someone's kidnapped a child and you're chasing them and they cross a threshold that is in an alley or corridored, it's going to be dark, right? So if you have your firearm out, you might want to use that in that moment just to light up that area to make sure that there isn't an ambush waiting for you. Putting on a weapon-mounted light means you can control that subject with a firearm pointed in his direction and acquire the visual data you require to make a decision about what you should do next. Now, guys, the things to look for when it comes to weapon-mounted lights that people really overlook. I don't know why on the YouTubes people don't talk enough about this, is switch on ability, right? With your full-size weapon-mounted lights, you're generally going to have the ability to put that sucker on and off quite easily because you can get a nice big on-off toggle or button, right? Most of the full-size weapon-mounted lights have that pretty much down. Of the compact weapon-mounted lights, the Streamlight TLR7A with the high switches have, in my opinion, the best activation, and people don't talk about this often enough, right? The ability to put the light on and off is so important, especially coming out of the holster. I find that the next best is the PowerTac Mark Mini because it at least has somewhat clicky buttons. And then my least favorite is the Olight series, which have like these spongy style buttons that provide no tactile feedback. The Olights have the best stats. They've got generally the highest lumen. The PowerTac Mark Mini has the highest candela of all these flashes I'm talking about today, 22,000 candela. But when you are considering a light, always look and consider how hard or not hard it is to put that sucker on and off, because that's kind of the most important factor when it comes to weapon-mounted light, the ability to get it to shine. Now, another important factor when using a weapon-mounted light is I can go both hands on if I need to. If I then need to assist someone open a door, if I get hit in one hand, whatever the case may be, for it to grab someone and get them over to where I am, excuse me, I can go one hand off, do what I need to do, but still have the light on so I can still use my visual data that the light is providing. If you don't have a weapon-mounted light, right, you kind of have to choose between light and free hand, okay? Whereas, like I said, with a weapon-mounted light, I can have light on all the time while this hand is free if it needs to be used to do something else. And obviously, if my right hand gets hit, I can switch to my left hand and not lose light, which is data, and data is important for making decisions. So guys, with all that, with the availability of holsters and the concealability and carryability of weapon-mounted lights, with the availability of these particular weapon-mounted lights, we've got some of the best in the world available to us right now. We've also got some really good inexpensive options. I just want to talk about one last thing. Guys, the cheaper your light, the less long it's going to last. I want you to think about it like this. Your Surefire and your Streamlights are probably going to last you a lifetime, right? But they cost more. And I consider it like this. Imagine buying an HP printer. HP printers are relatively inexpensive, but they only last 2 years. So for 2 years or so, you're going to get that thing working perfectly. But after that, you're sort of living on borrowed time. It's the same thing with weapon-mounted lights. Your Surefire that costs nearly 7,000 Rand is going to last you probably your whole life. your Olight that costs you a fraction of that is probably going to give you about 2 good years of service and they need replacing. A lot of companies build products in that manner. They build it in such a way that after a certain period of time, you're going to have to replace it. At the end of the day, guys, I've always said like an Olight is better than no light, and any light is better than no light, right? The light that only works once when you need it, that's the light you need, right? Just know what you're buying when you buy into it. And if you are comfortable with the fact that it might not last you your whole life, but probably will last you 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years, then go for the light. Guys, for me personally, I consider weapon mounted light mandatory. For everyone I speak to, I highly recommend it. If you have a subcompact style pistol in South Africa, try out the Mark Mini. It's a really good light that punches way above its weight class. And like I said, I have done courses with that. Please use this information as you will. I'm not an instructor. This is just my personal opinion on weapon mounted lights. I will see you guys in the week for the vlog and on the weekend for a review. Have a good week, guys. Be safe, train hard. Cheers. God bless.